Hey legends! Welcome back to The Reasons Why. Today we're breaking down why Nintendo's first-party exclusives absolutely demolish Xbox Game Pass. Mario, Zelda, Pokémon, the heavyweights. And on the other side, a subscription service with more games than anyone asked for. Spoiler alert, quantity ain't beating quality. Stick around because we've got 21 savage reasons why Nintendo leaves Game Pass in the dust. And trust me, some of these are gonna hurt. Nintendo games define entire generations. Every single decade since the 1980s has had a Nintendo game that shaped the way we think about gaming. The NES gave us Mario and Zelda, the SNES dropped Donkey Kong Country and Super Metroid, the N64 delivered Ocarina of Time and Mario 64. Literal revolutions in 3D gaming. Meanwhile, Game Pass is like a buffet. Lots of options, but nothing that truly defines a generation. People don't say, "Remember the golden age of Game Pass?" No, they remember the exact moment they first booted up Wind Waker, or when Breath of the Wild made open worlds feel alive. Nintendo exclusives become time capsules, anchoring entire childhoods and gaming eras. Game Pass just cycles through content like a Netflix menu. You scroll, play for a bit, and move on. Nintendo makes history. Game Pass makes rentals. Mario alone has more cultural clout than all of Game Pass. Let's be brutally honest. If you lined up every single Game Pass title and asked a random person on the street to recognize them, they'd shrug. But if you show them Mario, their face lights up. Mario isn't just a character, he's a global symbol. He's more recognizable than Mickey Mouse in some surveys. He has movies, theme parks, memes, speedruns, and tournaments. The man literally changed gaming 3 times. 2D platforming, 3D platforming, and kart racing dominance. No single franchise on Game Pass has even a fraction of that staying power. Halo? A shell of itself. Forza? Cool, but not culture-defining. Starfield? Already a meme. Mario is evergreen, a plumber who's been carrying the entire industry on his mustached back for nearly 40 years. Game Pass is a library. Mario is an icon. Hold up. Your turn now? Drop your funniest, wildest, or most savage reason why Nintendo's exclusives destroy Xbox Game Pass. Think we missed something? Prove us wrong in the comments. The spiciest clapbacks will get immortalized in our next Users Edition, so make it legendary. Zelda redefines gaming every time it drops. When Nintendo launches a new Zelda, the entire industry takes notes. Ocarina of Time didn't just release, it rewrote the rules of 3D game design, inventing mechanics like lock-on targeting that developers still copy today. Breath of the Wild flipped the open-world genre upside down, proving exploration and freedom matter more than checklists. And then Tears of the Kingdom casually said, "Oh, by the way, let's reinvent sandbox gameplay with Ultra Hand building mechanics." And suddenly, every dev is scrambling to catch up. Meanwhile, what's on Game Pass? Solid titles, sure, but nothing that fundamentally changes the way games are made or remembered. You can play a dozen decent RPGs or shooters on Game Pass, and they'll blur together. But Zelda? Zelda is a moment. It's a cultural reset button. Game Pass rotates content. Zelda rotates the entire gaming landscape. Pokémon is literally a global empire. Forget gaming for a second. Pokémon is the highest-grossing media franchise on planet Earth. Bigger than Marvel, bigger than Star Wars, bigger than Harry Potter. Think about that. From trading cards to billion-dollar movies, plushies, anime, and yes, the games. Pokémon dominates everything it touches. And guess where those mainline games live? Exclusively on Nintendo hardware. Kids in the 90s traded Game Boys like currency, and today people are still buying Switches just for Pokémon. No Game Pass subscription can buy you that kind of cultural phenomenon. Xbox can throw hundreds of indie titles into its library, but it will never compete with Pikachu being on lunchboxes, t-shirts, or a literal Macy's Thanksgiving Day balloon. Pokémon isn't just a game series, it's a multi-generational obsession that shapes childhoods, friendships, and even global trends like Pokémon Go. Game Pass is a deal. Pokémon is destiny. Smash Bros. Is the ultimate crossover dream. There are crossover games, and then there's Super Smash Bros. This isn't just a fighting game, it's the ultimate fan service festival where gaming icons clash in glorious chaos. Mario vs. Sonic, Link vs. Cloud, Pikachu vs. Solid Snake. You literally get decades of gaming history packed into one arena, and it's exclusive to Nintendo. Meanwhile, Game Pass can brag about having variety, but no game on the service even comes close to Smash's sheer cultural weight. It's a game that unites casual button mashers and hardcore competitive players, filling stadiums for esports events while still being the go-to party game in college dorms. Game Pass might offer Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter occasionally, but those are fighters. Smash is a phenomenon. No other title makes people scream at the top of their lungs over a sudden final Smash moment. Smash Bros. Isn't a game, it's a universe in motion, and Game Pass simply doesn't have anything that can match its magic. Nintendo exclusives hold their value for decades. Here's the cold, hard truth. Nintendo games never go cheap. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has been out for years, yet it still sells at near full price and charts in the top 10 regularly. Breath of the Wild? Same deal. Smash Bros. Ultimate? Yep, still premium. Meanwhile, Game Pass titles are like fast food, served hot today, forgotten tomorrow. Their value is in accessibility, not longevity. The moment a game leaves Game Pass, its buzz vanishes. But Nintendo exclusives are basically investments. They remain relevant, playable, and desirable decades after release. People still hunt down Fire Emblem, Path of Radiance, or Paper Mario, 1,000-year door for crazy collector prices. You think anyone's going to be nostalgic for that one indie shooter I tried on Game Pass for a weekend? Nope. Nintendo makes classics. Game Pass makes temporary distractions. Game Pass games vanish. Nintendo games stay. Game Pass feels like renting DVDs from Blockbuster back in the day. You never really own anything. 1 month, a game's there. Next month, gone. Just when you're halfway through that 80-hour RPG, Microsoft pulls the plug, and you're left with an unfinished save file and a broken heart. Nintendo, on the other hand, doesn't play that disappearing act. Once a game drops, it's yours. Buy Mario Odyssey today, and you'll still be playing it a decade from now without worrying about subscription cycles or expiration dates. It's permanence versus impermanence, and permanence wins every single time. Imagine if Ocarina of Time had just rotated out in 1999, half the industry wouldn't exist today. Game Pass gives you convenience, sure, but Nintendo exclusives give you security and legacy. That's a game changer. You don't need internet to enjoy Nintendo exclusives. Here's a brutal reality check. Game Pass is chained to the cloud. No internet, no service, no subscription, no access. It's digital handcuffs dressed up as a perk. Nintendo exclusives, on the other hand, are pure freedom. Pop in Breath of the Wild on a deserted island with zero Wi-Fi, and you're still having the adventure of your life. Game Pass makes you dependent on infrastructure. Nintendo just hands you a cartridge and says, go wild. And let's be real, sometimes the best gaming happens offline. Camping trips, plane rides, boring family reunions. That's where Nintendo shines brightest. Game Pass is only as strong as your connection. Nintendo exclusives, they're forever playable, anytime, anywhere. In a world obsessed with online everything, Nintendo is still delivering the simple joy of pick up and play. Nintendo titles bring families together, not just solo gamers. Game Pass is built for the lone wolf gamer, headphones on, lights dim, grinding through another dark RPG or shooter. But Nintendo exclusives, they bring people together. Think back to your first chaotic round of Mario Party. Your grandma actually picking Yoshi in Mario Kart, or your little cousin shouting when they finally caught a shiny in Pokémon. These games are designed for living rooms, not isolation chambers. They're multi-generational bridges that make gaming accessible to everyone, kids, parents, and even those I don't play games friends. Game Pass can't deliver that same living room magic. Sure, it has co-op games, but none with the same charm or staying power. Nintendo games aren't just played, they're shared experiences. And that's something Xbox's subscription model simply can't buy. Nintendo owns the couch co-op crown. Before online multiplayer was a buzzword, Nintendo was already perfecting couch co-op. GoldenEye 007 on N64, iconic. Mario Kart split-screen battles, Eternal, Smash Bros. Ultimate, 8-player chaos in one room. No lag, no mics, no random trolls yelling into headsets. Just pure, face-to-face fun. Meanwhile, Game Pass is stacked with games designed for online matchmaking, not for laughing with friends crammed on one couch. And let's be honest, couch co-op is making a comeback. People crave that old-school energy where your best friend elbows you in the ribs after tossing a blue shell at you. Nintendo never let that spirit die. They own it. Xbox might dominate online shooters, but when it comes to in-person, living room, snack-fueled battles, Nintendo wears the crown, and it's not even close. Kirby is cuter than any Game Pass title combined. Let's be real, Xbox Game Pass is stacked with gritty shooters, dark RPGs, and serious indie games. That's cool. But none of them could dream of competing with the raw, nuclear-level cuteness of Kirby. This pink puffball has the power to inhale entire planets and still look like a squishy marshmallow plush you'd want to hug forever. Game Pass tries to sell immersion and realism, while Nintendo casually drops Kirby sucking up a car and calling it mouthful mode. That's meme gold and wholesome chaos. There's no Xbox mascot with that kind of universal appeal. You can't slap Master Chief on a lunchbox for 5-year-olds and expect sales. Kirby's on backpacks, keychains, cakes, and tattoos. He's a marketing dream and a gaming legend all in one. Game Pass doesn't stand a chance. Cute always wins. Splatoon turns shooters into colorful chaos. Shooters are usually grim, gray, and edgy, but Nintendo said, nah, let's cover the entire map in neon ink and make squid kids dance. Splatoon took the most oversaturated genre in gaming and made it fresh, fun, and family-friendly without losing depth. It's competitive enough for esports, yet silly enough that even casual players feel like gods when they land a splat. Game Pass has tons of shooters: Halo, Doom, Battlefield, but they're all slight variations of pew pew, reload, respawn. Splatoon, it's painting the town, literally, throwing bombs of ink and swimming through neon puddles like a squid on Red Bull. It's stylish, it's chaotic, it's different. Nintendo didn't just make another shooter, they redefined what the genre could be. Game Pass gives you shooters, Splatoon gives you an identity. Animal Crossing became a worldwide therapy session. While Game Pass was trying to push its latest AAA grindfest, Animal Crossing New Horizons quietly became a cultural lifeline. During lockdown, millions of people found peace, friendship, and sanity by chilling on their virtual islands. Celebrities opened in-game talk shows, politicians campaigned on virtual beaches, and players swapped turnip prices like Wall Street brokers. That's not just a game, that's a movement. Game Pass has plenty of life sims, but none with the charm, staying power, or global impact of Animal Crossing. It wasn't just about fishing or catching bugs. It was about creating joy in a time when the world desperately needed it. Game Pass delivers content. Nintendo delivers comfort, nostalgia, and connection. No subscription can compete with a franchise that literally doubled as free therapy during one of the hardest times in modern history. Metroid invented the genre Game Pass titles try to copy. Every time you hear the term Metroidvania, you're seeing Nintendo's fingerprints on the entire gaming industry. Metroid didn't just make side-scrolling exploration cool, it invented a whole blueprint for game design. Game Pass has plenty of indie darlings like Hollow Knight and Ori and the Blind Forest that thrive on that formula. But let's not kid ourselves, they're all standing on Samus Aran's armored shoulders. Metroid set the tone decades ago and is still evolving with Metroid Dread, which reminded everyone that Nintendo doesn't just sit back, it innovates. Xbox's library might be packed, but without Nintendo laying the groundwork, half of those titles wouldn't even exist. Samus crawled through alien tunnels so Game Pass indies could shine in neon. Nintendo created a genre. Game Pass rents out the knockoffs. Mario Kart is still the party king. Every gaming platform has tried to dethrone Mario Kart, and every single one has failed spectacularly. Sure, Xbox has Forza Horizon, gorgeous, realistic, smooth. But when it comes to actual fun, nothing touches the chaos of dropping a blue shell on your best friend 1 inch before the finish line. That's not just racing, that's war disguised as a party game. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has been out for years and still sells millions annually. It's basically immortal. Game Pass might give you 50 racing games, but none of them inspire the screaming, laughing, rage-quitting madness that Mario Kart delivers every single time. It's not about cars or tracks, it's about memories. And in that department, Mario Kart leaves Xbox in the dust, banana peel and all. Nintendo games are timeless. Game Pass is temporary. The best Nintendo games don't age, they evolve. You can fire up Super Mario World from 1990 or The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past from 1991, and they still feel magical today. Game Pass? It's built on trends. Games rotate in, rotate out, and most fade into obscurity after the hype dies down. Nobody boots up that one random Game Pass shooter from 2021 for nostalgia night. But Mario 64, Wind Waker, Pokémon Red, instant time travel. Nintendo doesn't just make games, it makes heirlooms, experiences that parents hand down to their kids. Game Pass is a service. Nintendo is a legacy. And in gaming, legacy always beats convenience. Quality over quantity always wins. Game Pass loves to brag about numbers. Over 400 games. Cool flex, but half of them are filler you'll never touch. It's the Netflix effect, endless scrolling, zero satisfaction. Nintendo, on the other hand, doesn't flood the market. When they drop a first-party exclusive, it's an event. People plan vacations around Zelda release dates, buy whole consoles just for Pokémon, and throw midnight parties for Smash launches. Nintendo doesn't need a bloated library because every exclusive is a heavy hitter. Game Pass may give you lots of choice, but choice without quality is just noise. Nintendo delivers fewer games, but each one is polished, iconic, and unforgettable. Would you rather have $1,000 store DVDs or one timeless Blu-ray of The Godfather? Exactly. Nintendo Directs hype up every drop. Game Pass can't compare. Whenever Nintendo announces a Direct, the internet erupts. Twitter trends, live stream reactions, meme floods, it's basically a holiday for gamers. A 2-minute teaser of Zelda footage can cause more chaos than an entire year of Xbox marketing. Meanwhile, Game Pass announcements usually sound like, hey, here's 6 more indies and a shooter you've already played. The hype just isn't there. Nintendo knows how to orchestrate anticipation like nobody else. Their exclusives feel like world events. Whether it's a new Pokémon generation, a Smash Fighter reveal, or Mario getting a new power-up, Game Pass doesn't create moments. It just updates a list. Nintendo Directs create history. Switch exclusives break sales records without needing a subscription. Nintendo doesn't need a monthly fee to move units. Their games print money on their own. Mario Kart 8. Deluxe has sold over 60 million copies. Animal Crossing hit nearly 45 million, and Breath of the Wild redefined system seller. All at full price. No discounts, no day one Game Pass, just raw demand. Game Pass games, meanwhile, often rely on being bundled to get played at all. People log in, try it for an hour, then move on. That's not cultural dominance, that's sampling. Nintendo exclusives dominate charts years after release because people actually want to own them. Game Pass sells subscriptions, Nintendo sells experiences worth keeping forever. That's a flex no library can match. Nintendo exclusives inspire speedruns, communities, and legends. Game Pass titles come and go, but Nintendo exclusives create entire cultures. Games like Super Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time birthed the speedrunning scene. Whole communities of players dedicated to shaving milliseconds off their times, still active decades later. Smash Bros? A competitive scene so strong it literally survived without Nintendo's support. Pokémon? Entire fan-made tournaments, ROM hacks, and world championships. These games don't just entertain, they inspire. They push players to create art, mods, memes, and entire fandoms that live on long after the credits roll. Game Pass doesn't inspire that kind of passion. Its library is like a revolving door. In today, gone tomorrow. Nintendo exclusives become immortal legends that gamers will still be talking about 30 years from now. Without Nintendo, gaming wouldn't even be gaming. Let's be brutally clear. If Nintendo didn't exist, the entire gaming industry as we know it probably wouldn't either. They revived the market after the crash of the early 80s, pioneered handheld consoles with the Game Boy, created mascots that shaped pop culture, and set the gold standard for game design across decades. Super Mario Bros. Literally saved gaming. The Legend of Zelda showed what adventure could be. Pokémon turned gaming into a global obsession. And even today, Nintendo continues to lead with innovation. motion controls, hybrid consoles, and gameplay experiences nobody else dares to try. Xbox Game Pass? It's just a subscription service. Nintendo? It's the foundation of the entire medium. Without Nintendo, there'd be no PlayStation, no Xbox, no Game Pass. Every gamer, even the ones who swear by Xbox, owe their hobby to Nintendo. And that's why Nintendo's exclusives don't just beat Game Pass. They define gaming itself. Thanks for watching, Legends! Now it's your turn. Drop your savage takes in the comments and tell us why Nintendo exclusives wipe the floor with Game Pass. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss Users Edition, where your best arguments make the cut. The reasons why, epic debates, legendary comments.